Welcome to the Ancient Coin Podcast with Aaron Berk, a show about ancient coins from the viewpoint of a seasoned professional with nearly 30 years' experience. Here's Aaron Berk and Mike Nodelman on the Ancient Coin Podcast.
It is episode 71 of the Ancient Coin Podcast with Aaron Berk. I'm Mike Nodelman.
I'm Aaron Berk.
And let's see, we're going to cover some auction results tonight. We are going to talk about, we're going to give you two educational segments, I think, or at least two rounds of education, because sometimes we don't always have a doofus to hit people over the head with. Plus, it's the holiday season, so maybe Aaron's getting a little soft. Either way, we are going to go right to the auction results. So, what do you think is worth looking at in the auction world, Aaron?
Well, we're going to review the NAC 158 that we covered in episode 70. And so these are the results. I was actually in Zurich for this auction. So that was fun. And it was good to see old friends over there and to have some heated battles. And I can report that I was involved with many heated battles like I normally am in
America's
these marquee sales. Oh, definitely. I'd say the world.
I know, and you hate that too. It's like being the underbidders sucks.
You know, it's the way it is, and it's okay. I don't mind losing a lot if it's a heated battle. You know, it's that's the market. That's the way it is. And so and in any auction, any auctioneer, any auction house will tell you the most important bidder in the sale is not the winning bidder, but the underbidder. So that'd be me.
Yeah.
So, but all I have to show for it is a good story and making consigners quite happy. So,
and that's the thing. And this is what I'll have to say about being the underbidder. Yes, it's like it sucks to come up on the losing end of it, right? To not really realize what you're looking for, but it also shows that you know when to say when. And I think that there's more to that than can just be.
I mean, some of it is sort of out of my control because I am an extension of my clients. Mm-hmm. And so I don't always have control over what the clients do. I will advise them on what I think makes the most sense. But if a client wants to stretch further, I'm just an extension of them. I'm not going to tell them no. Especially if
stretching is one thing, but it'll get to a point where you might advise them, hey, look, it's like, it's just, we'll get another one. We'll get the next one.
Well, sometimes there's not another one, necessarily. Especially when you're talking about these really, I mean, yes, there's always another coin, and I harp on that all the time, but there isn't always another major rarity of a specific type that only comes up so often in certain qualities. And so sometimes you could say, well, that's a ridiculous price, or you can just say, well, that's where the market is right now on certain things. And it really comes down to generally a few, I would say less than 10 people in the world when it comes to these coins. It's usually as one European mentioned to me in NAC when the auction was over, it's the typical people that are driving the market and or culprits, as he wisely stated. Yes. So in any case, lot number one, this amazing Carthage coin, I was underbidder on this, went for 460,000 hammer. So that doesn't include the 22.5% on top of it, plus the Swiss franc to the dollar. I held this in my hand. It was an amazing coin. It was actually one of my favorites in the entire sale. Chunky. It just really, it was just beautiful. And it's for sure the finest known. It really is a stunner. And so it was a strong price. It's a record price, but it's a record type coin, and that's just the way it is. And so it's, when I evaluate these things for clients, I give them a range based on what the market is or has been. And so then it's up to the client and me to kind of decide where we want to stop at that point. And so unfortunately we didn't get there, but it's an amazing coin. And I felt, it's what's so nice about going to these auctions is being able to hold these coins. There's a lot of people that go to these auctions that don't buy any of the coins, but just go to view and to hold these coins in their hands. And I've mentioned that to you guys before. If you get a chance to go to the New York International, if you have a chance to go to the fun show down in Orlando, whether you're collecting US coins, world coin, ancient coins, currency, I don't care what it is, go and view, hold these things, study these things. You'll become a better numismatist. And you will learn so much more by holding the coins than being a, what do they call that? A couch quarterback, sitting on the sidelines, just looking online and never really holding these things in your hand. And so I think it's really important to hold these things, to understand what they feel like, and how much different they appear when they are in your hands. You really get a different perspective 100%.
Well, I could see where this particular coin would make an impact on you. I mean, for one, it's rather large and it's really thick and chunky, and the detail in it is really deep. They basined these a lot and really brought out a lot of relief. And it looks like it could have been struck 100 years ago, let alone, 1800 years ago.
Right. And it's a historical coin of Hannibal. So, I mean, that's a pretty important guy in the history of numismatics.
He did some things.
And so did Alexander. So let's go to lot 31, which is the Porus Decadrachm. And again, another record price of 900,000 hammer, plus the 22.5%, plus the Swiss franc to the dollar. You're probably looking at about $1.3 million all in, something along those lines. And held this one in my hand. I was the underbidder on this coin too. I didn't know what my client was going to want to go to. I was on the phone with him, and our number was 850, and we went to 850, and the other bidder went to 900. So that was, and then that was it. But I didn't know how high. I told my client between 500 and 700,000. And I'll show you if you want to, Mike, bring up that next link.
Slide.
Yeah, the slide. Thanks.
Let's do this. Yeah.
So this is kind of these Porus Decadrachms are extremely rare. There's only 4 that have ever come up. One really terrible quality one that Heritage sold a number of years ago that you could barely see anything on either side. There's really only 3 that are of quality that have ever come up to market, and one of them came up twice. And so and you can see that the one that came up in 2012, the Sheikh of Qatar bought that for $300,000 hammer. That was the famous Prospero sale. And it came up again in 2021 and it brought 700,000.
He did pretty well.
And so this one, you can see the quality. And then there was one that came up in 2013. You can see how much better the quality is on the one that just sold for 900,000. It is for sure the finest known of the 3 coins.
Yeah.
And the one that sold for 75 in 2013, that was when the market wasn't very strong. We actually own that coin. I believe it's also the 100 greatest coin, plate coin as well. And the one that brought 700,000, there was a bidding war, and the underbidder of that coin won the one for 900,000. So I knew that there was a chance that I'd be competing against that individual. And so my number was, 500, 700,000. And so because it was better than the one that brought 700, but I knew there was a bidding war during that time period. So I gave a pretty big range, and my client felt it was going to go higher, and so he pushed it higher. So, but if you look at it, it based on the quality, you can't really say it's a ridiculous price because it's much better than the one that sold for 700,000. And so if you think about the pricing, you can blame the underbidder of the one that went for 700 for pushing it up to 700,000, or you can just say this is the market of these coins right now. And I actually think that's what the market is right now. And so kudos to the new owner. Glad they were able to get one for their collection, and they paid the realistic price for it. But that's just the market, guys. And I know I'm talking about these really expensive coins, but NAC has the most expensive coins in the world, guys. And this collection that they had was a stunner with some amazing coins in it. And so, but you can relate what I'm talking about to any type of coin. I don't care if it's $100 or $1 million. The same kind of thinking is still in play. You got to look to see what the highest price paid is, what the consistency of the pricing are, and then figure out where your sweet spot is for buying these things. So I understand that most of us can't afford these things, but the philosophies are still the same. So just keep that in mind. This is an extremely rare coin. And if you have any, and it's one of the 100 greatest ancient coins as well, obviously, because for Alexander, this is as far as he got when he was trying to conquer the world. And it's a iconic coin showing Alexander on his famous horse fighting King Porus on elephant. It's an amazing coin. If you can see the three that have come up, they all come poor quality. None of them are going to be mint state. So this is as good as it's going to get. So some of you might say, well, that's not a pretty coin, but the history of it and the fact that these just come this way, it just shows how amazing it really is. So moving on to another Alexander, lot 34, another Decadrachm. I did win this one for a client. And we paid 240,000 hammer for it. The beauty of this coin is that it actually has a pedigree going back to the days of NFA, and it was much nicer in hand than the photo showed, and it's also a legal one, because if you've been following the show, you'll remember that Roma was selling a lot of the hoard that was illegally taken out of Palestine, and a lot of those coins have been tried to be confiscated, and you really can't touch those coins with a 10-foot pole because they were stolen out of Palestine in the late, I think around 2018, 19, something like that. There's a whole BBC report on it. You can find it online. So this one's actually legal. And so it's as clean as can be, and it's a wonderful coin. If you have the price catalog, which is used for cataloging Alexander the Great, there's only one of these in there, and this one blows that one away. So it really is a fantastic coin, and I'll be really happy to have it back in Chicago once it comes in. It'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah,
I'll probably do some social media with it.
This coin has just really slight bit of porousness to it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But the detail on it's phenomenal.
A lot of them come out of the ocean, and so they have sea damage. That's
Sure.
pretty typical with these. All the ones from the other hoard all had damage as well, and all had rough surfaces as well. So they all came out of the ocean. So anyway, moving on to lot 53, a much cheaper coin that we did cover on the last show, and this is the Macedonia under Roman rule. 3,500 is a great price for this. This is the reverse of a doofus purchase. This is a great purchase, has a pedigree way before 1970, in the 1920s, I believe. It a little bit better quality. There's the top price for one is 14,000 hammer. And so for 3,500 bucks or 3,500 hammer Swiss francs, that's a great deal. Wonderful deal. Very nice coin. Rare type. Scarce type. I say it's so rare, but it's definitely tough one to get with the hand above the club there holding the wreath. And so that's just with the pedigree and everything. I mean, kudos to the winner. that's a great deal. So, and there were some other wonderful deals in that sale. NAC still proves that they're the best auction house in the world and get the best prices in the world. So, so kudos to NAC and to all of the winners that came away with the coins during that auction. So, and the auctions keep coming. I was actually up this morning at 6:45 this morning, bidding in an auction in Zurich again online. I was bidding in the Nomo sale. I'm not going to review it, but it also did well, and it was fun bidding in that sale. Some good buys in there, and nothing to run away like NAC, but a strong sale for them, and there's been a lot of strong sales. I was talking to one collector. The auction, I've never seen so many good auctions in this fall season that I've ever seen. It's insane, and that includes the NGSA sale, which is going to be coming up November 24th. And so we're going to profile that right now. And so this is also, I believe, mostly one guy's collection. And so let's go to the first one, lot 27. Now, I profiled this one because it's a normal Massana Tetradrachm, but it's so rare to get the eagle with the serpent underneath the hair on the reverse. You don't see that too often. And that is just, when you get a series that's so relatively common, you can, we've all seen Massanas in almost every sale that comes up. But it's the symbols on some of these coins that really makes the difference. Plus, a lot of these coins in this auction, get a chance to look. There's a lot of coins with pre-1970 pedigrees. This one actually has a pedigree back to 1921 in the Mason Plat sale. And then also in Vichon in 1959. So really stellar pedigree, really rare coin with that reverse symbol with the hair, and not a high starting price as well. So I believe in general the starting prices in the sale are pretty inexpensive. That's going to draw on a lot of people. A lot of the coins are pedigreed. And also what's interesting is a lot of these coins did sell to the collector who's selling them now between probably 2014 and 2019, somewhere in that range. And so you'll be able to get a more current price of what it brought last time if you do a little bit of research, and then kind of decide where the market is and pinpoint where you think you want to be. So just giving you a little bit of hints on maybe how to attack this sale. So next lot 50. Now I picked this coin out because it isn't necessarily the highest grade coin, but you see a lot of these dies of Philip II. This is the father of Alexander the Great, that have a very uninspired portrait on the obverse. And this here, you get Zeus looking like Zeus. The artistic merit of the beard and the hair and the wreath, it's just fantastic. I mean, here you're proud to say Zeus is, you say Zeus is a god here. You can really, there's some issues of some later posthumous issues of Philip that are just like, ugh. And so I have long lobbied that the grading services should put a artistic merit scale on their groups of scales between because they're so hypersensitive on the grade that they forget about the artistic merit. And I guess the star is that, but it's not really. So to me, I would rather.
They're already not guaranteeing the grade, so why not? Take a shot at the artistic merit.
Well, and I've made this argument many times, is you get a coin that is a fantastic die, but maybe it's only a VF, and you get a mint state coin with a crappy die, and the crappy die one maybe has a star because it's or a really high grade because it is, and the one that has the better artistic die is actually the better coin to have.
Right. But
And
then
actually
we've
probably
got to
worth more.
save the idiots from buying the other coin because of the grading service.
Right. And
Basically.
so I mean that is, if you're looking for a die of Philip, this is it. And it also has the 1959 pedigree back to Hess Loy. It was also in Loy in 75. It was an NFA in 1987. This coin's been around, but you can see it sold in Goldberg in 2018. So you'll be able to get a more current value because the coin was bought in the last 10 years. So, but this is what you guys, this is what you're looking for when you're looking at coins. I look at these coins like I'm looking at Greek and Roman sculpture. If I was looking at something in marble, this is what I would expect to see. If you saw some of the posthumous issues or some of the lesser die issues as a marble statue in the antiquity business, we would call that provincial, which is a nice way of saying it's a piece of crap. So,
how provincial.
It's very provincial. So, because there wasn't as good artists in the provinces, and so you have a lack of art. The best artists were usually, more local or centralized to the centers of where the decisions and where things were happening.
Well, it's where
so
they could
whether
get
it be
most
Rome
money.
or Athens,
Athens,
Syracuse, places
it
like
was
that.
easier for them to to do business there.
Right. So think of it that way, guys. If you're looking at a Greek coin or a Roman coin and you look at the portrait, think of it like this: is like, how would that look as a statue? And if you say to yourself, it would look like a butt ugly statue, then maybe you should not collect it or change the reasons why you're spending the amount of money you're spending on it. So, and that's the way you should really
the amount of money you're spending on it.
Right. Exactly. So, but a fantastic die. So if we want to go to the next slide, pretty expensive coin. This is lot 72, the gold Pantopium, and these come out of the Black Sea. This is a very rare die for the type. You'll see even Nomo sold one today. That's one of the more common ones that have been coming up time and time again. This is a special coin. This is not like those coins. You can see it just in the die work on the obverse of this coin. It's a spectacular die, and it's extremely rare in this die pattern. And so this will go for big money. And it also has a pedigree that goes all the way back to the late 19th century. So really, really fantastic. So a lot of these coins, a lot of the later ones are coming up, but they, again, the Seder on the obverse of the ones that are coming up constantly now in auction have a very dead looking face. They're almost it's not a statue that I want to see. Here's a statue I'd love to see. This made into a statue. So this was a true artist that created this die. And these kinds of coins don't come up too often. But again, this last sold, I think, in 2019 in NAC. So I remember when this coin came up the last time. So expect it to do quite well again. And that brings us to lot 85.
Everybody's favorite.
So I brought this up because it's not an expensive coin. This is a dram of Athens, not a tetradrachm, but it's from the famous Pazzi collection and has pedigree all the way back to 1921 when Pazzi actually sold his collection. So he probably got it, he collected he was around between 1846 and 1918. His collection sold in 21. So he obviously bought it somewhere probably in the late 19th century or early 20th century. But the reverse could be a little bit better, but nice obverse, great pedigree. It's a plate coin in Pazzi, not an expensive coin. These are the kinds of coins that I love, because of the history and the fact that it came from a famous collection. So even in high-end collections or high-end auctions, there's always some wonderful diamonds to be found in the
So
rough,
this is roughly a fourth of the size of a tet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Something like that.
I'm figuring things out.
And finally,
last but not least,
rounding it out, we have this fantastic anonymous gold stater. These staters are actually, the gold staters were actually produced for the Second Punic War between 218 and 201. During the war, and this was actually produced between 225 and 212. It's the finest known, and this is the reason why they went off of the bronzes and got into gold and silver and denarii. This was the coin that started it all for the Roman Republican period. So it's extremely historic, and you have two soldiers that are kind of giving tribute to another soldiers holding a pig, and then you have the Dioscuri on the obverse. Amazing coin, sold at Sotheby's in 1995. My father bought this for Barry Fierstein back in Triton 1999, and then Barry Fierstein sold his collection in 2008. So this coin is really historic, extremely important. They actually have two in the sale, but this one's the better of the two. But really iconic for what it is. So check out the NGSA sale. That's going to be November 24th, and we'll come back and review it next episode in number 72. So we didn't have a doofus this year. I thought it. Thanks, Michael. That was.
Hey, the production values are getting better.
They are. There's been a lot of discussion still about tariffs, and some people are getting hit with it. Some people are not getting hit with it. I actually just got my Gorney and Mosh stuff, and my agent was supposed to clear it, but FedEx decided to jam it through, and they charged me $4,000. Actually $4,200. So I had to get my agent to go back and to redo it, and but it's going to, probably take me several months to get my money back. I'm not going to charge my clients, obviously, because it's not their fault. And I'm a business. And so this is why they use me. So I'm going to fight, and, I'll get my money back eventually, but it's going to take some time. But I thought it'd be, and I've heard lots of stories of people getting hit, and you just have to go through the process of showing customs, FedEx, UPS, DHL that they were wrong in the way that they did the entry. And so I have a good client and friend named Steve Roth, Dr. Steve Roth, who when I came back from the IEPN conference, Heritage had done a presentation on the tariffs and how they were clearing things, and we talked a little bit about that. And I presented that to him and to others, and he took a step farther, and he started working diligently with the auction houses in Europe, the smaller ones, to start using these codes and to handle it properly. And so, Mike, if you want to go to the slide, I'll show you what he created, which he gave me permission. Thanks, Steve, for using.
Put it up.
Mm-hmm. No. That's the presentation for educational. You want to go to the other slide that had the Porus Decadrams at the beginning?
That was back to
just go back to slide 3.
Right, that was this one.
Now go down 2 pages. Go down 2 pages now. Go down 1. Yep. There you go. Okay, now we're there. So okay, so he basically emails this to the auction houses. There is a primary code, which we've always used, which means that numismatic items over 100 years old have always been tax-free. But there's a secondary code that is used that says that these things are informational items, which coins are informational items, and they are also tax-free. And if you look at there's a stamp to the right. One of the auction houses, I believe it was Solidus, maybe, is using this. They're actually stamping that right on the package. They actually made a stamp, and they're actually stamping all their packages going to the U.S. with that. And everything that's come through with Steve has come through fine. And so there's more and more of the smaller auction houses are doing it. A lot of the bigger auction houses already know how to use these codes. But if you have been hit with a tariff, you should really use this. I'll put it into the information about this podcast, so you guys can cut and paste it if you want. And you can go to FedEx, DHL, whoever, to contest that they didn't do the entry properly and that you should be getting a refund. Mm-hmm. So I just thought it was pertinent. Thanks to Steve Roth, Dr. Roth, for handling that and to actually really push this and to get a lot of these auction houses to start doing this. I know he's got Nauman now doing it, and several others. So because, it's to their advantage too, the auction houses, because they want Americans to be able to buy there and have things come in tax-free like they'd always been, and they should be. There should not be a tariff on coins. These are not made today. They're
not for
in fact, it's creating a detriment for Americans to bring things from Europe coin related into the country, and it's giving the advantages to other collectors out of the United States, because now there's a lot of Americans that don't want to buy coins overseas because they're afraid of getting hit with a tariff. And so that's one of the reasons why I'm getting a lot more auction representation, because I know, I have an agent who generally will get things through. If I have a big amount of material that I'm buying for lots of people, I end up having it sent by Armor Car, which is Melka, which is what I use. And Melka actually clears their own packages, and they also know how to do this. So,
all a matter of
I'll give you I'll give you an example. I know UPS is not the best when it comes to this stuff. Even it's really hard to even get them to reverse things, as well as DHL. It's getting better. DHL is really hard, but UPS is not easy either. And I bought a coin out of Japan from a client, pretty expensive one, and they only shipped UPS. They don't do FedEx. And so I decided to buy and pay for Melka, because it would be cheaper than getting a tariff. So, and I didn't want to take the risk. So,
ounce of prevention.
It ended up costing me more, but in the long run, it's just the cost of doing business. But I shouldn't even have to be doing that. These tariffs for coins is ridiculous. And so there is a workaround. This is it. So, use it if you can. Share it with your local auction house in Europe that you do business with. And if we all work together like Steve has done, then I think we can really start to move this in the right direction. So,
agreed.
So anyway, so that's going to bring us to our educational section. It's a short one, but I thought it was an interesting one, because I don't think a lot of people understand the way weights of coins have changed and why they have changed. And the one that has always interested me is the Attic standard to Ptolemaic weight standard. So, Mike, if you want to bring up the slideshow and go to the top.
Jeez.
And then there you go. And maybe we should expand it out here. I'll expand it for you.
Yeah, thanks.
There you go. All right. No problem. My pleasure. So this is just showing the Ptolemaic Empire further in around 240 BC. If you remember your history, Ptolemy the First was a general of Alexander the Great, and after Alexander's death in 323 BC, all of his generals took over lands that Alexander and they had conquered. And Ptolemy took over Egypt. Smart man, because he was the only one who survived. His line survived the longest, ending with Cleopatra. So pretty important guy who took over a really important area, and he did some pretty important things with coinage, because yes, there was some pharaohs that minted a couple of coins to pay for mercenaries, but coinage really was never brought to Egypt for commerce until the Ptolemies or the Greeks came. And so Mike, if you want to go to the next slide. So before that, you had the Attic standard, which had to do with the Athens tetradrachms. Most of them were around 17 grams of silver. And then Alexander used this as well. And you can even see Ptolemy at the bottom coin is Ptolemy 1. And that's Alexander wearing the elephant headdress instead of the lion headdress. And this is still under the Attic weight. So when he first took over Egypt. But it was, these were widely used in the Greek city-states, and a lot of the city-states adopted the 17-gram Attic standard. But then you had some changes, and if you want to go to the next slide. Why did Egypt change? And they went to the Ptolemaic standard, and it dropped to around 14, 15 grams, somewhere in that range. And they wanted, it was mostly to be used within their own monetary economy. They had less silver, so reduced the silver that they needed, and they could control it a lot more. It also prevented, because it was a closed system, for the coins leaving Egypt as well.
Not only that, but the neighboring states, because they were of lower silver and lower purity, they wouldn't welcome them, so they would be much more likely to have to stay in Egypt.
Right. And if you look all the way up until the Romans, when they really started debasing, you could tell there wasn't a lot of silver there, because look at all the Roman Egypt silver tetradrachms. They're all billion, which is basically debased silver. There's hardly any silver in them. There's a little bit, but they don't look like silver. They look like bronze coins. So Egypt in general didn't use a lot of silver later into the Roman period. And so they were already thinking about going to a lighter weight standard even during the time of Ptolemy, and it continued on after that. And so if you go to the last slide, you can see here, and actually go back up one slide, Mike. You can see that the style didn't change. You still have Alexander wearing the elephant headdress as you did on the Attic standard one. So just the weight changed, but the die didn't change. And it was still the same style. So when you're looking at Ptolemy the first, with him wearing the lion skin, you always realize that the Attic standard is going to cost you more, because it's a rare type that is more desirable, because it's the old standard. And there are more of the Ptolemaic weight standard than there are of the Attic standard. So just keep that in mind when looking at the weights, because people, when they in the auction houses, they don't always state it as Attic standard or Ptolemaic standard. They just put the weight in, and you see it immediately. As soon as you see that it's 17 grams, you're like, oh, that's Attic standard. So, I mean, you could probably tell from the style as well. In general, it's a little bit higher style, but that's basically it's the same type of coin, but just different weight standards. So just keep that in mind when you're looking at these things. So go to the last slide, and you can see there, then Ptolemy goes to his own portrait on the coin between 305 and 282, and you can see it's 14 grams. And then all the Ptolemies kept the same names, generally speaking. And so Ptolemy VI, one of the descendants of Ptolemy I, there you can see the weight's still at 14. Some of them get down to like 13 grams in that level. But it continues all the way through the Ptolemies. And so It's very cool, and they're not the only ones that did it. There's a rhodium standard. There's several out there. I just wanted to focus on the Attic to Ptolemaic standard, and there's more nuances than this, but this is just a brief little overview that I thought was interesting because of, especially with the coin type with the elephant headdress changing just based on weight standard. So issued by the same guy, which is very cool. So so that's our short little educational for you.
There we go. That's a little better. Thank you.
Do that for you. You're welcome. Okay, so so I got extra set of hands. It's all good, brother.
You know what? That's fine with me.
So that's going to bring us to our pro wisdom, and our pro of wisdom this week is think about what type of collector you want to be, and we've harped on this in a roundabout kind of way, but in my opinion, there are several different types of collectors. You have the collector that wants to own lots and lots of quantity. They don't care what they buy. They want all different types of areas, and they aren't so quality concerned. They just want to accumulate and accumulate and accumulate. And then there's the other type that wants quality, will only buy what they can afford. Maybe it's only 1 or 2 coins every 6 months until they find the coin that works within their price range. And maybe they're doing a specific set, or they are being eclectic and just buying what they can and being opportunistic when they can. I see all different kinds. So if people ask me my opinion on how to collect, I like to tell them to buy the best coin that they can in the best quality, and not necessarily worry about collecting a whole series, because that can be fun, but when I see a collection that's almost like a typeset, where I see lots of different Greek, if they're collecting Greek coins, and I see popular Greek coins in all different areas, but they're really high quality, I get much more excited to see that than to see, 100 Alexander the Greats. I'd rather see a variety of coins.
But at the end of the day, all of the different types of collectors that we've described, how many of them are doing it wrong? Not a single one. Right.
None.
Because that's what makes this great, is you do it the way that you want, for the purposes to make you happy. And if you just want to collect every possible, if you want to corner the market on Athenian Tetradrachms, good luck, but go for it. You're welcome to do that.
Right.
And
I mean,
collect what you want, collect how you want, and let your journey be your journey. That's all.
I always I look at it from a dealer perspective, so I have a different way of looking at it. And I've seen the collections that is only one city or one emperor, or a range of emperors within a specific period. And I would suggest to those people, if you're, write a book, because you probably know it better than most people. So in that scenario, but if somebody comes to me with 500 of the same coin or the same type, it's gonna be really hard to sell that. Because especially if it's a niche market, it doesn't make it easy. And the other thing is that if you're collecting something nobody else collects and you actually turn it into something, then write a book. Number one, create some hype around it. And two, realize you probably won't get all your money out of it. So, but like Mike said, not everybody is collecting to make money. People are collecting just to have fun. So, and at the end of the day, you hope to get most of your money back, but if it doesn't work out, you still had a great time and you really learned a lot and you enjoyed yourself. And so you're right. There is no bad way to collect, but if somebody's asking my opinion on the best way to not waste, then that's how I suggest doing it, as being eclectic, being opportunistic, buying the best that you can buy at the time, and not worrying so much if a great coin comes up, and still have your price point in mind of what you can afford. Don't spend more than you can spend, and let it go if you can't afford it. If you're bidding in an auction, there'll be another one.
I think the difference in our advice is this: you are basically giving the advice of, assembling a collection of value, something that can be sold, will be worth something. And I'm talking about strictly for pleasure. At the end of the day, my guy doesn't care what happens to his coins. They're going to pry him from his cold dead fingers anyway. So, and nobody's wrong. That's just the important part.
No, I mean, look, I've got people that we have people come in the store and go through our pick bowls, and they're not going to make money, but they're going to have a blast. They're going to learn a ton because they're buying unattributed ancient coins for $12 or $15, and they're learning. They're not going to make money, but they're enjoying themselves.
Right, but here's the other thing: is they're not going to make money on that, but they may, through their experience doing that, make money on other stuff later.
Of course, because their experience and their wealth of knowledge is going to grow, and they're going to understand or see things that other people won't. Especially when you're looking at unattributed ancient coins, they're not always the prettiest, and they're hard to tell what they are. And so if you can start identifying them, you're going to know a lot more than the average collector.
That was my point, is that the person that identifies unattributed ancients out of the pick bowl is way more into it than most people.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you for sure. But and the other thing about collecting eclectically is you learn a lot more about history, which can bring you enjoyment. Because if you're just collecting one area of Greek coinage, you'll never learn anything about Republican, or you'll never learn anything about Roman or Imperatorial or Byzantine. And you don't have to buy a ton out of every period, but like one coin, and all of a sudden now you know a little bit about that area and that region, and it's just going to expand your numismatic brain more than just your little niche area. But on the other hand, if you're into your niche area and you learn it better than anybody else, then you're going to have dealers coming up to you and asking you questions about if something is rare or not. So I think there's lots of ways to skin a cat. And so
probably not the best analogy anymore, but
maybe not. Yes. But again, think about what type of Yeah, well, I'm a cat owner. I'm not going to skin her.
Oh,
so
I know.
So it's just a phrase. Nothing against kitties. I love them. So in any case, all right. Well, I guess that's it. Episode 71 in the bag.
That's awesome. So I think that we've had some really positive response on releasing on the weekend. And it seems like, if something that works for us, it may very well be, more often in the future that we do, a Sunday release. So you guys like it on the weekend, enjoy this. And so thank you to our production staff, to our unknown intern who helped me to create that beautiful, beautiful transition that we did. And now we feel more like a real show, and at least in my mind. And thank you to all who listened, because without you, we're talking to each other. I'm just spending more time with my boss, which is okay because I actually like him. He's pretty cool. Anything else to add, Aaron? No?
Amen.
Okay. All right. So for Aaron Berk, I am Mike Nodelman. We will talk to you next time, episode 72 of the Ancient Coin Podcast with Aaron Berk.
Thanks for listening to the Ancient Coin Podcast with Aaron Berk. We'll return with another episode soon. Meantime, you can join our private group on Facebook. Just go to facebook.com and search the Groups tab for Ancient Coin Podcast Discussion Group and ask to join. There you can become part of our community, where we share and discuss ancient coins, as well as the show, the ancient coin market, auctions, or just to give our own opinions on things in order to learn together. Join Aaron and Mike again soon for the next episode of the Ancient Coin Podcast with Aaron Berk.